Go ahead.
After the Battle of Marathon, Boston Patriots Day 2013. And if you just raise your hand if you can't hear my voice at all. After an ancient Greek man ran without rest for 3 hours from Marathon to Athens, delivering the news we won, and he dropped dead of exhaustion. And after the Revolutionary War, but before people had planted themselves in Boston to applaud for runners, you awoke, drank some water, stretched, and by the time you got to Hopkinton, the adrenaline was almost too much on the fist of your heart. After Rosalie Baker Brown squeezed starter's pistol's trigger, it took a while for the pack to thin and for you to settle on the pace for the goal you had in mind for the time it would take to cross the finish line victorious. Before someone had researched claymore mines, how their command detonated and directional, able to discharge metal shards and ball bearings and nails into a specified kill zone, followed the directions in make a bomb in the kitchen of your mom and made one from a pressure cooker, runners from afar had decided to come. Some who had taken years to qualify just to run Boston, to own the image of feet carrying them across the line. Before you were disoriented by the boom, the smoke, the debris, and panicked about whether or not you were running toward threat or away, you had begun the 26.2 miles, traveled to Clock Tower, through Screech Tunnel, up Heartbreak Hill. There are no crimes in running. The stance to swing of the legs, pure propulsion of a body, breathing the breath, rhythmic, the mind in flow. The mind and body are one, the winner's line intersects, Exeter and Boylston the goal. After the blast, metal and glass shooting out at all angles, landing in successions of crashes, screaming people sprinting away, and seconds later a second blast and wondering, is this the John Hancock Tower? Is this the Prudential Tower? What's next? Before, sounds of feet and shoes clapping the asphalt, the breeze on your face, your breath. The distance between miles seemed to increase as you turn onto Commonwealth Avenue. With the strength of your own body alone, nothing can prevent you from the finish. Before the news broadcast of an aerial view, red blotches staining Boylston Street, you running down Beacon Street toward throngs of spectators in Kenmore Square, just 1 mile before you can quit the legs. You know the mind is the runner's worst injury. You turn onto Boylston, the finish comes into view, the cheers to fuel you through at top speed, you are unstoppable, but then a boom, a blast, you're confused, debris, all of the sudden, and you're running away, you're beating time. Shall the London Marathon go on, the Vancouver Marathon, the Seattle? Shall runners continue running on despite images of runners running from? On the newspaper's front page, standing on Boston's blood-soaked Boylston, a man holds a small American flag. Waiting room in 5 parts, part 1. I accompany my friend to her appointment. An anomalous mammogram led to needle aspirations, lumpectomies, radiation, and today it's a follow-up visit with the oncologist. I scan the room. Among the visitors are 3 patients in wheelchairs, a couple of women in chemo-inspired scarves, and 1 patient occupying the designated respiratory isolation area. Staff carrying clipboards stroll back and forth, sounds of heels on the tiled floor. A medical assistant in blue scrubs with a stethoscope surrounding her neck emerges from behind the double doors and calls, "Mrs. Loge?" Neither my friend nor I respond at first. "Gigi Loge?" My friend stands and, somewhat unsteady on her feet, inches toward the woman, who grins and chirps, "Good morning, my name is Kim, how are you?" I don't hear my friend's reply. The assistant pushes the doors open, and I can glimpse a dim corridor. But as the doors flap closed, I must imagine the rest. Part 2. I accompany my friend to her appointment. I have brought a stack of the New Yorker magazines from home. I scan the room. Floor to ceiling, 4th floor windows overlook Lake Union, an urban lake surrounded by houseboats, marinas, a yacht club, and office parks. The teal blue water is littered with sailboats, which appear to be a host of bobbing white isosceles triangles. A waterway between Lake Washington to the east and the Pacific Ocean. In the distance, a singular motorboat heads west under the Aurora, one of Washington's cantilever and truss bridges. It's also known as Suicide Bridge, second only to California's Golden Gate. Bridges are doors from where you are to where you could be. Suddenly, I hear my name. A medical assistant announces my name, although I do not have an appointment. No one knows that I'm here. I am not a patient, I am well. I stand and motion to the assistant. "I merely came to accompany my friend. There must be some mistake," I say. She checks her clipboard, confirms that my name's on the list. She responds that she needs to confer with her supervisor. Part 3. I accompany my friend to her appointment. I have brought a stack of the New Yorker magazines from home. I scan the room. Somewhere beyond the doors, an ultrasound reveals a jagged 1.5 centimeter lump on a breast, and a healthcare professional explains how cancer cells invade surrounding tissue by abnormal and uncontrolled cell growth and division. Blood draws leave hematomas on arms and backs of legs, and a patient experiences shortness of breath from the MRI's contrast dye. Beyond the doors, a physician inserts a fine wire around the site of the tumor, and a patient has her 30th radiation treatment. Someone else explains that cancer cells become increasingly resistant to chemotherapy over time. Side effects can include flu-like symptoms, suicidal thoughts, and a secondary cancer. Beyond the doors, the word cell comes from the Latin cella, meaning small room. Suddenly, a medical assistant is announcing my name, although I do not have an appointment. No one knows that I am here. I am well. I pick up a magazine to hide behind. I slink down in my chair. Surely there's some mistake. They don't know what I look like, so I can just sit here, anonymous. My heart rate increases as my name is called again. I do not know what to do. I pray for control over my mouth because I'm panicked that some noise will emanate, thereby confessing my presence. I wish to strangle my own throat so that the sound of my name doesn't accidentally bust forth, but by now I cannot lift either one of my arms. Part 4. I accompany my friend to her appointment. I have brought a stack of New Yorker magazines from home. I scan the room. Intermittent beeping comes from the elevators as they pass each floor. Whispers from the receptionist station lining the back wall. Reclining vinyl chairs and shades of taupe and mauve. The janitor, an older gentleman donning a surgical glove and purple latex mask, runs a disinfectant rag over each unoccupied chair. A woman with a badge that reads volunteer pushes a cart of complimentary beverages and packaged cookies. Assembled together, those of us who are well wait for loved ones who have vanished through double doors. In this waiting room, we'd rather can't, sir, than can, sir. Doors are bridges from where you are to where you could go, and behind those doors, the sun leaves the sky. All of a sudden, I hear my name. A medical assistant announces my name, although I do not have an appointment. No one is supposed to know that I'm here. I am not a patient. My name is unusual and difficult to pronounce. The medical assistant uses my full 3 names with precise precision. I froze. I consider my options. Then silence. The woman who is seated next to me has stood and is walking toward the medical assistant. The medical assistant and the woman quietly exchange words, and together they slip through those doors. A moment later, another staff steps forth, looks down at the clipboard, reads off my name again. However, someone behind her at the receptionist desk says something, and the assistant corrects herself and calls another name from the list. I am unsure about what's about to happen behind those double doors with the woman impersonating me, but I am certain that I have the right to know. Part 5. I accompany my friend to her appointment. I have brought a stack of the New Yorker magazines from home. I choose an issue and begin reading. Suddenly, my name. I have no appointment and no one presumably knows that I'm here, but I raise my hand anyhow, stand and walk obedient.